Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. I spent last weekend at PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia. It's the second largest board game convention in North America, and so you get a chance to see a lot of awesome games there. You know, some of the games that are being shown off are games that are already released, but then they're also doing a lot of previews of games that are coming out in the future. I got to see a lot of games that are coming out in 2024. And so I do these types of videos, sort of the best of these sort of rundown videos after all of the major conventions. It's a good way to structure it for me to sort of work through some of the games I was really excited about seeing. But know that these are sort of first look awards. Like I oftentimes, got to demo these. Some of them I even got to play a full game, but I have only played a single time. So it's like first impression awards. And I do these, like I said, after all of the major conventions, and I try not to repeat games after any of them. So you're welcome to go back and watch my video on the best of Gen Con or the best of Origins and see other cool games that might be still yet to release in those videos. So I've got 10 games. These are 10 games I'm really excited for. Almost all of these games are coming out in 2024. So, let the hype train, move forward. That's I feel hyped about all these games, and hopefully you find something you're excited about here too. So thanks for checking it out. Here are the best games of PAX Unplugged. The best two-player game I saw was Ironwood from Mind Clash Games. This is actually part of Mind Clash's new sub-brand called Mind Clash Play. And the whole idea of Mind Clash Play is they are easier to get to the table games, a little bit lighter weight, a little bit more accessible, and cheaper than some of their other games. So, Mind Clash is known for these sort of big, epic experiences, but they wanted to put out some games that are easier to get to the table, and so they released Astra last year, which I thought was one of the most underrated games of the year. I think Astra is great. And then Ironwood is now their second game in this Mind Clash Play line. It will be releasing straight to retail around April. So this is a two-player only, highly asymmetric game. And so if you like asymmetry in your games, these are asymmetric characters. They have their own asymmetric decks. They have their own asymmetric win conditions. So they are really doing different things on the board. One player plays as the stalwart and hardworking Ironclad, and the other player plays as the ferocious Woodwalkers. They are two factions vying for control of the land and fighting against each other. So like I said, they have all different asymmetric play styles, decks, victory conditions. So the Ironclad, their primary goal is to lay down the foundations of their forges in the outer mountains, and once they have collected enough crystals, build forges on the foundations. And then the Woodwalkers are trying to locate their people's ancient totems through vision cards, clear the path to them by defeating Ironclad warbands, and secure them in the outer forests beyond the Ironclad's reach. And so, this is a lot of Mind Clash games are, sort of long, epic experiences. This is a game that plays in like 30 to 60 minutes. So if you want a highly asymmetric two-player game, Ironwood looks pretty cool. The most innovative game I saw at PAX was Layers from Kids Table Board Gaming. I could have put this one in the best two-player games as well, but I chose to put it here. It is a two-player only game, but why it feels so innovative, why it feels different, is it's a twist. It's a cool twist on sort of a familiar old school thing. It feels like Dungeon Battleship. It is like the old game Battleship, where you were trying to, predict where things are on a hidden board of your opponent, but instead it's dungeon. So the game starts with each player sort of creating their own dungeon, but you're not building the dungeon for yourself, you're building it for your opponent. You are putting traps down, you are putting walls down, you are putting monsters down, and you are trying to sort of make it difficult to get the gold and get out of the exit. So once you have sort of done that puzzly thing creating the dungeon, then you will be on your turn using action cubes to do things on the other person's dungeon. You are moving through the dungeon, you are peering around corners, you are fighting monsters, you're doing all this sort of stuff. There's set collection with some treasure card, loot cards, that sort of thing. And so actually, I did play a full game of this, and I didn't make it out of the exit first. I made it out of the exit second, but I ended up still winning the game because I did a better job on set collection. And so, you're taking notes on a sheet that you have of like, okay, I saw a monster right there. I want to avoid that spot, or I need to prepare for it. One of the other things I think is cool is the monsters have different power based on whether you stumble into them or whether you prepare for them. If you see them coming, they are weaker, whereas like if you just sort of rush into something and hit a monster, it's going to be a lot harder for you to defeat. So I think that's like a fun thematic aspect of the game. So this one should be hitting Kickstarter or some other crowdfunding platform around the summer, and then either releasing late in 2024 or in 2025. But, super fun 2-player only game, Layers. The best family game I saw in Philadelphia, or welcoming game if you prefer that term, was River Valley Glassworks from Allplay. This definitely gives you the similar vibes of like an Azul or a Sagrada, where it is very pretty, very gorgeous to look at, but also really puzzly in its gameplay and still plays fairly quickly. I played a full game of this, and I think it took 20 minutes to play a full game of it after the teach. So, snappy turns, and really cool decisions. Like, I think that this one is great for those easy to learn, sort of hard to master type of game. You are drafting these little glass tiles off of the river board and then putting them in your own personal player board, and you're going to score points for columns and rows and things like that. But one of the cool things is once you draft the glass pieces off of the riverboard, then the river moves. And so you pick up the piece and the river is constantly flowing, which feels kind of cool and unique. The tiles that you take from are always moving to the back. And so, it feels thematic, like the river is flowing. I just think it with the little glass pieces on there and stuff like that. I mean, in the sort of retail version, they're plastic, but I know that they will be doing a deluxe version of this on Kickstarter. I believe it comes to Kickstarter around March. And Allplay doesn't normally do deluxe versions of things. They are going to do a deluxe version of this where they're exploring actually having real glass pieces in the game. And then it should fulfill and hit retail in the summer of 2024. So it's also got a bunch of cute artwork on it. You get to be these little sort of river creatures and stuff like that. So yeah, it like I said, plays quick, super fun. They say can play as young as 8, so if you like a game like Azul that's pretty and puzzly, I think you'll really like River Valley Glassworks. My top cooperative game was Cyber Pet Quest from Dead Alive Games. I am very happy that there seems to be more campaign games that are smaller in nature coming out. Campaign games that work for families. I don't play a lot of campaign games because it's very hard for me to get the same people to the table to play that many hours of a game. A lot of campaign games are sort of big, long, epic quest sort of things. Well, Cyber Pet Quest is a campaign game that works for families. Isn't quite as heavy a lift as some of the other campaign games out there, and so I really like that about it. There are 11 planned chapters in the game, and thematically, you are cyber pets, and your owner has gone missing in cyberspace, and so you are working together to locate your owner, get him back safely, and save the day. I get nervous about cyber stuff, so I sneeze when I talk about cyber stuff. But each session of Cyber Pet Quest takes like 30 to 60 minutes, and there is a branching narrative to the game. Different choices are going to lead you down different paths, so you can replay a scenario, a chapter, and make a different choice and see some different game there. And it's a decently small box campaign game, so that's cool too. And it's full of, cute artwork, and that all your cyber pets are very adorable in the game. So if you're looking for a campaign game you can play with kids or family or that sort of thing, and I'm sure, there's a lot of interesting choices in it, so you don't just have to play it with kids, It's like, oh, hey, we're a bunch of grown adults. Well, are we allowed to play this? Yes, you are allowed to play this. So this one will be crowdfunding most likely in January, so coming up here pretty quick. Cyber Pet Quest. The best party game I saw there was Scribble Me This from Pipnetic, and Pipnetic is a new publisher formed by Steve Finn of Dr. Finn's Games and another guy who is very involved in the puzzle world, and so they formed this new publishing company together. And this Scribble Me This is very unique in the world of drawing party games. There's a lot of drawing party games out there. I really like a lot of them. So the way Scribble Me This works is you get a card, and on the back of the card is a riddle, and on the front of the card is the answer to that riddle, something that this riddle indicates. And you don't get to see the riddle. You'll just be seeing the front thing of the card, and then everybody will be drawing that thing. You will be drawing it to the best of your ability. Then cards will be put out, and then you flip them over to their riddle side, and now you have to read through the riddles and figure out which drawings are the answer to those riddles. Which drawings relate to whatever this cryptic thing on this riddle is referring to. And so, it's very silly. It's not really about drawing well. It's about being able to interpret the riddles and stuff like that. So, unfortunately, I failed to ask them about the release schedule for this one. So I'm not sure when it's coming out, but it will be coming out next year. So if you like drawing party games, Scribble Me This is worth checking out for sure. It's got that sort of, it's both thinky and silly, right? Because it's thinky and trying to interpret the riddles, but silly looking at everybody's dumb drawings and figuring out what people are trying to indicate with them. The best small box game I saw was Moon Rollers from IV Games. This is set in their Moonrakers universe. For those that don't know, Moonrakers is a great game that came out several years ago where you are playing as mercenaries in space, and there's a negotiation aspect to the game where you were trying to finish contracts, but the contracts are mostly too difficult to do alone, so you're negotiating with other people to help you finish contracts. Well, Moon Rollers is trying to sort of distill that stuff, that idea, that theme, that world into a simple push your luck dice game, and it's really fun. One, I love push your luck dice games. I think that tension that's in them where you're like, oh, should I keep going or not? I don't know. So what you're doing is you are rolling a bunch of dice and then assigning them to contracts. Now, there's not these sort of active negotiation that Moonrakers have, but there's almost implicit negotiation because you can only assign your dice to one card in a turn, and you have to assign a bunch of dice. You can't say I'm going for shields and then not have enough shields. Well, then you're going to bust and you're going to lose all your dice on that card. So mostly you are not going to be filling these contract cards with the dice on your own turn. You need somebody else to come along and finish that card, and then we will both be getting rewards when that card is finished. We'll be getting points, we'll be getting, some of them you will take the card and that gives you a special ability for the future and stuff. So it's, it's not that active negotiation, but it still has a little bit of this implicit negotiation in the game because we need each other's helps to finish these cards, but it's still a competitive game. I want to get more dice out there better than you. I want to push my luck and get more things on there. And so, it's one of the first, well, it is like the first small box game from IV Games. IV Games have been knocking it out of the park with a lot of their games like, Veiled Fate and Fractured Sky and Moonrakers. They have a lot of great games, but most of their games have been sort of bigger productions. This is the first small box game from them, and it's still got this really cool art style, and it's just fun push your luck dice rolling. It is on backer kit right now for only a couple of more days. So if you're interested in this game, you can go back it right now, but then it will have its retail release at some point in 2024 when the campaign is done and fulfilled. So yeah, Moonroll, super fun, love dice rolling games. The best big box strategy game I saw there was Luthier from Paverson Games. This is a big heavyweight game, and they had it on a big table and it took up all of that table. So, know that there's a lot going on in this game, and, my rundown right now is not going to cover all of the nuances of the game. But you are trying to craft musical instruments for patrons, and it is a highly thematic game. The Paverson Games their first big game was Distilled, which is a great thematic game about distilling alcohol. And so everything that this company is doing is like theme first, theme forward. Everything you do in the game is connected to the theme. And so this is no different. I love the main sort of central conceit, the central mechanism of the game though. It combines hidden bidding with worker placement. So you are going to be placing workers down on different spots on the board to get resources, to get patrons, to get a lot of different things. But your workers will have a power, and you don't reveal what power they are until the end of the round. So only, the person who goes with their higher valued worker is going to pick first from that spot. You are going to get your choice, and then everybody else in sort of power order is going to pick after you. And so, do you want to place your 5 worker down there? Do you want to place your 1 worker down there? You don't know what somebody else is going for. Somebody else going, it's got that tension where you're like, oh, I really want that stuff, but I also really want this stuff. So how do I split my power? How do I split my workers there? So yeah, I think that's a really cool central sort of mechanism of the game, and looks really great on the table. There's a lot of great artwork in the game, and you are going to be getting special abilities. You are going to be getting patrons that give you a little bit of an engine building aspect because they get you, you're just leveling up throughout the game, as you unlock specialized worker abilities and tracks and bonuses and all that sort of stuff. So it is definitely a heavier weight game, plays 1 to 4 players, and will be coming to Kickstarter most likely in July. So check that out, Luthier. The best theme I saw at PAX Unplugged was Santa's Workshop from Elf Creek Games, and I love everything about Christmas, and I don't care if this is a cop-out. All you have to do to win best theme for me is come out with a Christmas game. It will win best theme every time, all right? I love everything Christmas. It's my favorite time of year, all right? This is a real thing I do in my life, not a joke. I will go stand next to Christmas trees in public places and then make strangers take pictures of me next to the trees from their phones. And then when they're like, how do I get this to you? I'm like, no, that's for you. That's actually how I live my life, okay? And so, yeah, this is a Christmas game, and I'm here for it. I'm excited that there is a Christmas game. One of the reasons I am excited for it, just independently of Christmas, is that most Christmas games out there I have found are very lightweight, sort of very family oriented, very, card based games. They're just they don't have a ton of strategy to them. Well, Santa's Workshop is a Christmas game with a little bit more meat to it, a little bit more strategy to it. This is a worker placement game where you are playing as elves and you're going around helping build toys and take care of the reindeer and decorate the tree for Santa's Workshop. You're doing all the elf things, but you're doing it through worker placement, and it's still sort of a highlight weight game or a lightweight medium game. It's not just like, this is not a big heavy euro or anything like that. It's still a lightish weight game. It's just got a little bit more strategy than most of them, and there's a worker placement aspect to the game. So I love all of that, and it makes me really excited to play it during this season. The North Pole! We're going to the North Pole, Best theme. I don't care. Like I said, you want to win best theme with me, just make it about Christmas. It will have its retail release at some point in 2024, but there are a limited number of special editions of these games. They are, I forget what they call the special edition, but it's got gold foiling on it, it's got some upgraded art, all that sort of stuff, and that is only available through Elf Creek Games right now. So you can go onto their website, or you can wait for its retail release at some point in 2024. So yeah, play me some Santa's Workshop. Thanks, buddy. The best production I saw was Terraria from Paper Fort Games, and this is an award given on a promise. I think that it's going to have an amazing production because I only saw the prototype of it, but there is one reason I am giving it best production, and that reason is modular miniatures, okay? You can change the miniatures around, and as you do damage to them, you take parts off of them, and so the miniatures change throughout the game, and that is super cool. I'm just really excited about that. I did get a chance to, see them doing that with the prototype stuff. Obviously, this game isn't out yet, and it will be coming out in the future, so I haven't seen final production stuff, but man, that's so cool. Modular miniatures, man, that just made me excited right away. This is based on the Terraria video game, so if you are a fan of the video game, you'll probably like this. And it's a cooperative game where you are exploring different stuff, you are leveling up your character, there's a sort of light deck building aspect to it to sort of progress your character. You are you're fighting a bunch of miniatures, all that sort of stuff. And it's just a big cooperative adventure game, sort of an open sandbox. The video game is an open sandbox game, and so they wanted this one to sort of feel like, hey, how do we have that open sandbox feel, but in a 90-minute playtime? That was the goal with this game here, and so I'm excited about modular miniatures, and I'm excited about open sandbox, sort of exploring, fighting, building, all that sort of stuff. So this one should hit Kickstarter around March or something like that. Terraria. The biggest surprise I saw in Philadelphia was Apostocracy. This is from a first-time designer. So PAX has a thing called, I think they call it the Rising Showcase, PAX Rising Showcase, where they highlight some newer designers. And this game was in there, which is part of why it was a surprise to me. I didn't know anything about the game before this, but it's super cool. One, it looks amazing. I love the artwork. The theme is sort of Victorian London social scene. You are trying to rise up the social scene and get, influence and prestige and that sort of stuff. But the thing that really excited me about this game is it combines worker placement with trick taking. And that is not something I've ever seen before. And I play a lot of games every year, so I'm always excited by things that are unique, things that are doing something different. And Apostocracy feels like it is doing something different with that trick-taking worker placement. You are going around the board, placing your workers out, getting influence in that way, but then the trick-taking will determine how much influence you get at times. And so, it plays in 40 to 80 minutes, 20 to 40, 2 to 4 players, and it is a medium weight game. You know, there's a big board, there's some real strategy to the game, the reason that they called it apostocracy, because I was like, wait, I know aristocracy, and the whole idea was during that time they would call some of the people like queen bees or things like that. So this is sort of combining a fun beehive theme with the aristocracy of Victorian London in 1851. So yeah, this is, again, first-time designers, looks super cool. I'm very excited to sort of follow the journey more, see what they do, see what happens with this game. It will be coming to Kickstarter in spring of 2024, so make sure to watch out for it. If you like the idea of trick-taking worker placement, this is the only thing out there that is accomplishing that. So those are 10 amazing upcoming games. Those are my Best of PAX awards. I hope you found something here that you're excited about, that you didn't know about before, because I definitely learned about some of these games for the first time at PAX Unplugged. So, you know, going to those conventions always feeds the soul. They're exhausting, don't get me wrong. You're going all the time, but you get to see a lot of great games, and even more important, you get to hang out with amazing people and play games with people and have beers with people. And I love this community, and these big conventions are always a reminder of just how like great and supportive and cool the board game community is. So thank you so much for being part of that community. Thanks so much for being part of my community. I'm really grateful that you guys are all here, and I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. I will be doing a ton of sort of best of lists coming up, videos. I like to do a bunch of category videos. You know, I'll do like, it will culminate in my top 10 games of 2023, but before that I like doing like my best 2-player games of the year, my best family games of the year, my best cooperative games of the year, my best party games of the year. So I'll be doing 10 different top 10 lists coming up here in the second half of December. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much. I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex.